No, today's interview will be recorded, so you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Right, so my colleague is going to be here in a few minutes' time, but yeah, so today's interview will just be basically us getting to know you better and you getting to know our organization better, so that you can know whether iCUBE is the right place for you and whether we can support you in your goals and whatever you want to achieve in coming to our organization. So yeah, this interview is pretty much just us getting to know you. So just feel free to like relax and just answer the questions as honestly as you can. And yeah, so the structure of this interview will be split into one general questions and then scenario based questions as well as departmental questions where we can ask you more specific questions on the department. Well, just to confirm, what are your first two choices for iCUBE again?
There were three, right? So I picked two. It was external liaison and project and events, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Yeah, okay. So would you rank external liaison as first or project events as your first choice?
External liaison.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Okay, so I'll just introduce myself and Brian here. So my name is Samantha. I'm the global head of business for iCUBE International. And Brian?
Hi, my name is Brian, and I'm the finance director of iCUBE UK.
Yeah, okay. So now it's up to you now. So we'll ask you some questions where to let us know you better. So yeah, you can start with introducing yourself. Tell us more about yourself, your background, or any experiences that you believe is relevant for us to know.
Okay, my name is Wen Qi, and I'm a penultimate year accounting student at Waterford Institute of Technology. It's in Ireland, and my degree is in accounting. So recently, I just completed my internship with Maybank Asset Management, and yeah, so now that's basically me, and I'm in Malaysia at the moment because of pandemic. And the earliest I would return to UK would be in January, and if like things are not going that well, most likely it will be August next year. So yeah, that's basically my plans. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about your experiences, your background, like what you're interested in, or like if you've been in any kind of organization in the past?
Okay, so I'll start with my experiences first. So I did my high school in Chonghua Independent High School. Then I moved on to MCKL, Methodist College Kuala Lumpur, to do my A levels. And yep, then I landed in Ireland. So my experiences were previously I was the corporate relations associate for the Malaysian Students Association of Ireland, which we had to deal with sponsors. And we successfully secured a collaboration and sponsorship from a publicly listed company in Malaysia, and also fee waived workshops for our members, basically. Then I'm also the public relations officer for the Malaysian Society and my university, and we basically had liaise with the officials,
Mhm.
and we hosted various events. Basically, it's like the Christmas and also our flagship event, which we usually collaborate with Chinese student associations of my university to launch the Chinese New Year event. So these are basically the few ones for more towards external liaison. And for projects and events, I cooperated with the projects and events team of NYSAI to form the Irish Grad Meetup, which we welcomed graduated individuals who are working in Ireland to share their experiences. And that was actually supposed to be physical, but due to the pandemic, so it was moved online. So we shifted it fast. So yeah, it ended in a success. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, good. Cool. Thanks for letting us know. Okay, so the next question that I'd like to ask you is, why do you want to apply to iCUBE? Why do you want this role? My purpose of asking this question is so that I can know your personal goal or motivation when you're thinking of applying to iCUBE. And it's very important to answer this question honestly, so that we as the iCUBE committee will know how to ensure that people who want to join iCUBE will be able to achieve their personal goals. So yeah, what are your personal goals in coming to iCUBE?
iCube, okay. I actually saw iCube through the summer and I think spring or one of those consulting projects. I wanted to apply for it, but it was closed. So my friend told me to try out this one, which was external liaison. It kind of fit with my experience. So that's why I want to apply. And second is also because it's a very, I'd say, international organization. Because like from what I know, iCUBE has like four stations, right? Like Malaysia, UK, Australia, and the US. So we can basically collaborate with those, how do I say, like potential and high calibrated students from all over the world. And also the startup series is really good because there's one like startup series 2.0, which they will have startup workshops, pitching workshops. So I think that would be a very good help in expanding my knowledge in the area. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just to make sure that we are all on the same boat. So applying as an officer, you're mostly going to be in charge of like planning events, or like if you're applying for an EL position, you'll be responsible for a lot of the pitching to our stakeholders and stuff like that. So so as officers, we are here to make the event happen and make the event work. So it's not so much of like being part of like being joining as a participant in the events, but more so like we make events happen, we make things happen. So yeah, just to clarify. Yeah, okay, thirdly, what are your external commitments that you have besides studies for the year? And if you could give me a rough estimation of how much you're willing to commit to iCUBE as an officer for the coming year.
Like, okay, before we move on that, how busy would it be like in iCUBE? Like if we make it numerical, like usually in 1 week, how many hours do you have to spend on projects?
Okay, so since you're looking to EL and P&E, so I'll try to talk about EL. So EL, well, if you are busy during like especially in the summer period, or even yeah, when you're trying to find like sponsors and for our big events, we'll have like pitching almost every week. That's for EL, but for P&E, when we are organizing events, I think the most crucial time or the most busy time would be when the events are when basically the time is nearing the event. So I would say like ideally like either like 5 to 6 hours per week. Like that was what estimation was given to me lah. But yeah, how much are you willing to commit to iCUBE?
Last year there was another organization. It's like AMEU. It's also based in the UK. So I think based on like my understanding about iCUBE, I think it will be more or less the same. So I don't see any problem to that. So I think yeah, there should be no problem.
Okay. Right. Okay. One last question. If you were to explain what iCUBE does to someone who has never come across iCUBE before, how would you do it? How would you pitch iCUBE to someone else?
I'd say it's a professional student organization which encourages innovation and entrepreneurship among students. So it's really good because it's not just like linked. I mean, like confined to a specific area, maybe like this law. It's like business, technology, and entrepreneurship. So it encompasses every single field, and I find that to be very beneficial, especially as a student, because most of the time we are only like learning in a particular degree. So you get to be exposed to these kind of things which are not taught in your course or your university. So I highly encourage you to join. So that's how we usually pitch.
Okay, I think you're pretty spot on. So yeah, just to sum what you said. So basically iCUBE is just a student organization that works to inspire or encourage like entrepreneurship mindset in all of the students. I mean in Malaysian students who are studying abroad. So we provide like support, we provide platforms for them to be able to share their ideas, either through entrepreneurship or even through tech or business. So we organize events to basically support the dreams and yeah, to allow students to have a platform to learn and to develop themselves. So I think yeah, you're absolutely correct. So I'll pass the next session on to Brian, where he'll ask you a little bit more about your personality questions so that we can get to know you better. Brian?
Okay, hi Wen Qi. So I see that on your CV that you have an internship at Maybank Asset Management, right? Is this your first time touching a bit on the finance side of commercial, or you have a bit of past experience? Just a quick question.
Finance, it was my first time.
Okay, so since it's your first time, right? Okay. Was there something that, let's say we give you another first time, like we want you to organize another event or we want you to source for a sponsor, how would you go about it? Because I don't think you have the necessary skill set yet, which we haven't really given you, like for example, pitching or anything similar. So yeah, how would you go about to maybe organize an event or to source for a contact, for example? You can use any of the examples.
Okay, from an external liaison officer's point of view.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so first I would usually lay out what are our goals. So for iCUBE goals, obviously is to launch events and also to get talents and also to increase our kind of like our awareness among student organizations. That will be the core aim of iCUBE. Then towards the not shareholders, it's like our sponsors. Obviously, there would also be like day one returns, which is like maybe we are able to provide them talents as well for internships or for graduate programs, and also to increase their brand popularity as well. So we will have to consider both sides. So it's trying to find a balance between how much we are able to commit and also how much the sponsors can give us. So this is where I would start. Then when we start pitching, it's usually uh, if it's for financial purposes, we can maybe give them some tiers. Like if you sponsor more than 5,000 euros, then it'll be a platinum status. So maybe we would set up buntings, and also we will wear your name tag on our events. That would be the first one. Then maybe gold, we would have a verbal recognition during our events. Then silver, so on and so forth. So this is basically how we carry it, and this is like just one part of that. I understand that there are many different more parts, but that will be subject to the discussion between each individual sponsor. So yeah.
Wow, okay. I'm quite impressed. You know a lot of corporate relation things. Okay. Let's say you have to, you are in a sort of an argument. No, you're in a meeting with your sponsor and they don't really agree with your point of view. Can you tell me a time besides this where you are forced to be no, not forced, but you are convinced by someone? What was the topic of discussion and why were you convinced by the other party?
Like the other, sorry, I don't really understand. Like as in, okay,
So,
there is a conflict.
mm, so there's a topic right now of discussion, and you are engaged in a discussion with another party. And during this occasion, you have been convinced thoroughly by their point of arguments. Can you tell me what was the discussion about and why were you convinced by it?
Why was I convinced by it? Let me think. Um, okay, in terms of this one, I'd say about an experience in AMU. We were supposed to secure a location in King's College London, but after that, it was switched to Malaysia Hall. So the discussion was basically revolving around financial issues and also about the time slot. Because, although I was a secretary under AMU, I had to basically do all the liaising work. I was liaising with the warden of Malaysia Hall London. So that was really fortunate as they basically got back to us in time. We didn't really have to convince them. So that was actually pretty straightforward. If they convinced me like I should accept this, I would usually stand at their point of view and understand why are they coming from that point of view. And if it does make sense, then I'll accept it. Yeah. Most importantly, it's like you stand in the other person's shoes, you get their views, and does it like um, does it really accrue benefit? That's the most important part. Because if you might disagree with them, but what if they say makes sense and you can basically incorporate yours into theirs? That would be like the best way. So yeah, that's basically.
Okay. Just a follow-up question, but what if you're in EL right now and things are not as simple as just standing from their point of view? Because EL, we are dealing with a lot of money right now. It goes up to maybe a few £1,000 and it could go even larger than that. And what if the sponsor just argues that I want more benefits, I want more recognition from iCUBE, from that amount of money? What can you do about it? How can you convince him that um you should look from our point of view instead?
Convince him. Okay. Okay. If he wants more recognition, I'll assume that if he wants more recognition, the brand is usually not that well known as maybe the big four, so that's why he wants more recognition. So, at this point, I would say we can, yes, we can increase your brand awareness by posting it basically on our social media accounts, and it will focus basically on Instagram. Because like based on the figures now, a lot of students they basically don't use Instagram and I mean Facebook those anymore. So we post on Instagram, and we can collaborate with you, which is the company, to carry out workshops targeted at students. Because students now mostly we would need internships, graduate programs, workshops. That's it. We don't really need like those kind of where they tell you how are you going to, uh, how would I say, how to go and like, how would I say, like how to apply for universities, how is the life there? Because we don't really need it now. So I would say, yeah, we will collaborate with them and target student organizations. So that would basically increase their brand awareness among our students, and we can also share it among our platforms, and that is basically how we engage new students and also with the company. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. So I think that's all for the personality questions. I would like to move on a bit on EL. So I have a bit of an experience in EL back in my first year, and so I would start asking on our point of view. So since I see that you have done a thorough research on iCUBE, can you name at least one sponsor or partners in our past events?
Sponsor, I think I'm not sure if it's like a real sponsor. I only see like appearing. Is it like Maybank?
Mm, not really, but we do have a general tier sponsorship on our iCUBE page. Usually, when we announce like a new sponsorship or anything, we also post on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
iCUBE. Uh, it's not specifically targeted at like engineers, so it's not. Um, is it like um? I'm just guessing. Is it like Deloitte?
Mm, unfortunately, not really also. It's okay, no worries. Can read on later on from our iCUBE page. There's a lot of information over there. Okay, let's see. Do you have any past experience in handling external relations aside from your past organizations? Because we are sort of an entrepreneurship organization where we focus more on startups and things. Do you happen to have any relevant experience in this case?
In startups?
Yes.
Let me think. No, honestly speaking, no. Yeah.
Hmm. All right, it's okay. But how do you think EL would be slightly different in this case? Like, how should we position ourselves um to look for other sponsorships, such as maybe big four banks or conglomerates in Malaysia?
Mm, okay, iCUBE is very special because it's more towards entrepreneurships. It's not like for ICMS or other ones, which they are like hosting more towards workshops. So I'd say the most important thing for ICMS would be, like for iCUBE would be the funding, because you need funds to basically fund the startups. So, and your question was asking about how do we get like how do we get our aid from the sponsor? Is it
Yes.
okay? So how do we get? So first, I would say we have to screen through our entrepreneurship projects first. Like to ensure it's the highest quality will be given to the sponsors. That's what they want because they do have time as well. So I'd say we screen out and get out a few handful of high quality projects. Then after that, we would basically pitch it to our sponsors and let them see which one is feasible for them to carry out. And meanwhile, when we pitch, I assume because I'm not sure how iCUBE works internally. I'd assume like it would be based on like if the company is in this engineering field, then we'll give them, for instance, example, if the sponsor is Gamuda, so we usually give them those projects which are more related to them. So the students who are doing the entrepreneurship can get to know this company better. They can do internships there. They can do graduate programs there to build their knowledge there. So if it's like more towards business, finance, or whatever IT, they can go to the Big Four because now they need data. And now basically Deloitte, they are setting up like a Deloitte digital arm. So this would be how we are going to do it. So it's like a customized project pitch to each company. So yeah.
Solid, solid. Okay. Do you happen to be a scholar, or do you have any, just a general question, that you have any connections in some certain companies where it would really facilitate the process of, getting people to meet us? Yeah, basically you set up an initial meeting.
Initial meeting. I've only done an internship in Maybank, so I'd say Maybank, and also I'm only slightly involved in the Irish Chamber of Commerce Malaysia. So unfortunately, I think these are the two only ones which I do. Yeah.
It's all right, it's all right. Having one is always better than none. Maybank is also one of the biggest companies in Malaysia, so it's really great that you have connections, if you do have connections with them. Okay. So I would like to test a bit on your pitching skills. Within 1 minute, would you be able to pitch to a company about iCUBE? What sets us apart from other organizations, and why do you think they should sponsor us?
Okay, 1 minute is it? Can I write some like notes down?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, it's pitching to the sponsors, right? And not students, sponsors.
Yes, pitching to sponsors.
Yeah, so I think Okay, so should I start now?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, yeah. So iCUBE is a professional student organization which they focus on entrepreneurship, which we focus on entrepreneurship and innovation. So we basically transform great ideas into tangible returns. And now we need the funding to launch it. So it's basically like giving us a first step to launch our ideas. So we integrate technology and business and also entrepreneurship, which is data driven. So it's really crucial in this environment where everything like from consumer habits to their spending patterns, these are all useful ones, and we are well equipped with all these within our members. So it runs across UK, Australia, Malaysia, and the US. From various professional backgrounds, we have all our members recruited, and they are based on the highest standards. So we are well established in the UK as well. We usually launch entrepreneurship workshops, consulting projects, and also our members are well equipped with professional knowledge and also the skills needed. So, what we would propose to you is we can give you a glimpse of how we work, and also at the same time, we will be open to more collaboration because um, I'd say your company is very well known in this field. So, I'd say in this business field. And we actually have students coming from accounting, economics, and law degree, which I believe would be useful to your company as well in giving you advice and also maybe internships. Through internships, they might be able to give you extra input from another point of view. So this would be valuable information in the near future. So I'll propose for future collaboration. So yep, that's it.
Right, that's great. That's great. So this is all for my part. I would like to pass it on to Sam now for the business part.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'll just ask you a few questions on projects and events as it's your second choice. Yeah, so could you tell me a time where you planned an event and what was the biggest difficulty you faced and how did you solve it?
The biggest event. Let me see. The biggest event. Okay. A difficulty. Um, okay. The biggest difficulty. Okay, I'll take the most recent one, which was from MYSAI, this Malaysian Students Association of Ireland, which we were supposed to carry out our Irish Grad meetup. It was supposed to be physical in either UCD or in Malaysia Hall Dublin, but it was forced to be put online. So we acted really fast. We didn't have a Zoom account, so we had to basically loan it from another professional organization, and we succeeded in it. And after that, we basically gave out our like confirmation notes to our those who are attending, basically, that it will be moved online. So once it is confirmed that they will join, we started assembling different uh, divisions for that. So there was one for marketing, there was one for PR, and also there was one for basically like secretary to keep all the records. So I was more in it towards the marketing part, which I helped them in terms of the marketing and also the captions part, how to basically like attract people's attention to that post and join. So it was really successful. More than 60 people joined. That was online on Zoom, and yeah, that was basically how we managed to solve it. The most important thing from this lesson was we have to be resilient. Yeah, it's not the strongest one who survives, but the one who is like most resilient to change. Yeah, so I'd say that.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, okay. My next question I'd like to ask you is, one of your what if okay, so in the P&E's environment, it will be mostly working with a team of officers to plan an event together, and a lot of the times, some of the members might be missing in action or they're not doing their job properly, and they might just leave urgent matters for you to handle. So how would you approach this kind of situation?
Okay, so okay, does that mean like I'm in a position which is like superior to them, or I'm like at the same point?
Well, we can just say that you are an officer working with them as well, but we could make this scenario a situation where maybe you are the group leader of the project.
Okay, so I would start by like texting first, not on the like the official level, like through email, but I'll text them through like WhatsApp to know what's happening, because sometimes they really do have problems. So I'll ask them. Then I'll, after asking them and knowing their like kind of their predicament, I'll like stand from the point of view and think like maybe they're coping with like 5 different events at the same time, and that's why they're not responding to iCUBE's ones. So after I know what happened, then I'll ask them like, could you maybe give help instead of maybe giving uh, maybe like 10 hours per week on this. Then after that, maybe could you give 3 hours per week on this, and can you complete this task maybe just to secure this location. So that's how I would do. Then at the meanwhile, I would also contact the other members who are in charge and confirm with them how much are they able to carry out this. So this is the start point. If they don't get back, basically, if it's really serious, they don't get back, then I would just ask them what happened, basically. Then if they're really like unfit, then most likely I will take over, basically. Yeah, that's how we usually did for the previous one. But I believe IQ is very professional, so I don't think like team members missing action would be a common one.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just share a little bit my experience as a P&E officer. I mean, when I was an officer, like I had some team members who were missing in action, and that will bound to happen. I think in a lot of organizations as well. It like how much you benefit from an organization really depends on how much you are willing to give, how much time you're willing to give to the organization. That's how much you're going to reap off the benefits. So I think some people might not be as committed as the others, so that will bound to happen. But yeah, as long as like you work together as a team, like there's a lot of communication and teamwork that will be needed in I think in any organization. So yeah, as long as like we anticipate, that sometimes people may for whatever reason fall short, but like that's okay. And as long as we have communication and sense of urgency, I think we'll be able to, yeah, as you said, conquer any kind of problems that we have. Okay. So why did you? I was just curious, like, why did you want to choose like P&E as your second choice? And yeah, how do you, if you don't get EL and if you get P&E, how would you think that you could contribute to this department?
Okay, the reason I chose P&E was I was more inclined to P&E instead of marketing. So because I would like to like know more about the projects instead of just in relation to the marketing part. So yeah, then how can I contribute to P&E? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, how can I contribute? I would say through the ideas, because the Irish Grad meetup was I actually proposed to the president of MYSAI to carry it out, because there were a lot of students in Ireland who graduated and couldn't find a job. It was either a gap between their skills and the professional knowledge and the working environment, or they just couldn't get it. Basically, they don't have the soft skills for that. So I proposed to the president, like, how can they get more jobs, which is also good because it boosts the name of Malaysia in UK and Ireland, which is really good as well. And also to link the alumni of a lot of universities across Ireland with the current students, so they can give them advice on like how to nail down on this company, what is the culture. Like there were some who were working in top few ones. There was one working in Microsoft and also one working in Accenture. So they really gave solid advice as to how are you going to nail this, like in the assessment center, how are you going to carry out. So that was really good. And I would say I usually come up with brainstorming ideas for projects and events. So yeah. And when I joined AMU, the Association of Malaysian Economics undergraduates in UK, I was also in charge of their events, which was planning. Although I was part under secretary, but we basically have to provide assistance ad hoc. So I provided help for one called Demystifying Opportunities, and I took the initiative to be the moderator, which there were basically speakers from big four firms in the UK. So I know exactly the process from what time we have to start, give out invitation emails, then after that confirming. Because when you send out invitation emails, it's impossible to send out 100. Then what if 80 come back? That would be a great problem, which we decline and say, oh, to 70 of them, sorry, we have already like whatever booked. So we usually give out 5. Then if 2 confirm, then great. Then we continue to send out another 4 to 5 more. Then one come back, that would be great. So we have 3 speakers already. Then after that, when at the same time, when it's almost like confirmed, then we'll start scouting for the location. So yeah, after the location and then the confirmation, then we'll send out another a confirmation to the speakers. Then after that, that is when we would do all our marketing PR stuff. So yeah, I have a clear idea of how the P&E works. So yeah.
I think you're absolutely spot on. So yeah, as you said, I think brainstorming is quite a big thing in I would say P&E, and we really want people with great ideas that can contribute great ideas. So yeah, that sounds really good. So yeah, that's all from my section as well. We'll have a few concluding questions. Brian can take over for a few concluding questions where yeah, it's just a set of compulsory questions, just for logistics purposes. Brian?
Right. Okay. After this interview session, do you still hold the same views about the departments you have applied for? And if yes, let's say I give you 100 points for you to choose between the 2 departments that you have applied for, how would you go about to distribute them?
What do you mean by distributing?
Let's say maybe after this interview you're really into EL, or you put like 100 to EL and 0 to P&E, or maybe you are slightly more inclined to business after having a short talk with Sam, and you may want to be more involved in P&E instead of EL right now. So yeah, allocate the points between the 2 preferences.
Um, I would say it's like 40% P&E, then 60% EL. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Assuming that the virus will be controlled by next year and we have physical events held in London, you may be required to travel there. Well, we do provide a 50% reimbursements for all the events, and do you think you'll be able to come down for it?
Last year for AMU, I flew to London quite often. It's basically like within a month. I flew 2 times. That was quite taxing, basically. I'm not sure. Like iCUBE, do you have like events every like fortnight?
Not so. Because of the whole virus thing, most of our events tentatively is still online. Chances are maybe towards like March-ish or February only we will start having events. But even if yes, you won't be really required to be physically in London every 2 weeks. Probably like once a month or once in 1.5 months kind of thing. So not as frequent as AMU, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that shouldn't be a problem. But the only thing is if like things worsen in UK and Ireland, where I'm studying, I would only be there by August 2021, which is next year. Because yeah, that's like for what is currently being like planned for. So yeah.
Okay. But there's a chance that you may come back to Ireland. Wait, sorry, you're in Malaysia right now, right? So there's a chance that you may be coming back earlier on.
Yes,
Right.
the earliest would be in January. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So, let's say that you do get the role that you applied for as an officer. Would you be able to make it to our virtual annual general meeting and bootcamp equipping session in early November, maybe like the first or second week? During the bootcamp, we'll be equipping you with like necessary skill sets to be an effective committee of iCUBE. There'll also be workshops. We also invite some guest speakers, and also sometimes you just chill and bond with your new friends from iCUBE. Yeah, would you be able to make it?
When is it?
Probably it's like the weekend of the first or second week of November. We try to put it on weekend because chances are easier to sort out the logistics. But it's virtual.
Okay. Yeah, I think that should be okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's all from my side. Do you happen to have any other questions that you would like to ask us? Or yeah, it's a two-way interview. We want to get to know you. You should also try to get to know us more. Interview.
Yeah, I think so far I basically got my questions clarified. So yeah, not at the moment.
Okay, Sam.
It's good for me as well.
Right. So that's all on my part as well. Thank you so much for the time you took to really attend this interview. We really appreciate it. If you would like any general feedback or any questions that may just came across your mind in the future, feel free to just drop an email to Sam, me, or Nicole, or any of the emails that we have used to reach out to you. And we will be reviewing your application soon and yeah, get back to you as soon as possible as we are still looking through a large amount of applications right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Brian.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Okay.